I do know that by 18th of September that the state of emergency will expire, and then that will mean that the state governor and the state assembly will come back to their job, and then we have representatives at the grassroots level. Remember, the Supreme Court had nullified the other election, and so if this election was not conducted, it will mean that there will be no representative at the grassroots level, which would not be, acceptable by the people of River State. So, having done this, then the coast is clear for the state of emergency to be lifted, meaning that the local government has representatives, the state government has its own elected representatives. So we are good to go.
The Federal Capital Territory Minister, who is part of the problem, if not the major problem in River State, being the one who is announcing the return of the governor of River State, while we had the president of Nigeria suspending the governor of River State. So then it's confusing, because do we have two presidents, one that announces something and then like suspension of the governor of River State, and then we have another, the second president, who is now saying the suspension is lifted. River State is not part of the Federal Capital Territory. So there is grave concern. I've spoken to a lot of people. There is grave concern about what will happen when the governor is reinstated.
You also recall that Mr. President's mandate to me on the 18th of March 2025 was to stabilize and create an enabling environment. I want to believe that we have achieved the mandate that we were given. And so that also prepares the way for us to return the state to those who were elected to govern.
In just a matter of days, River State would witness a moment that could redefine its political destiny. September 18, 2025 is not just another date on the calendar. It is the day when River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and the 32-man House of Assembly are expected to return to their offices 6 months after being suspended under a state of emergency declared by President Bola Tinubu. River State sits at the edge of history. For 6 long months, the state has been under the command of Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas, a sole administrator whose policies have drawn outrage, criticism, and despair. Now, as the clock ticks towards Fubara's return, the people of River State are caught between hope and uncertainty. Will this return signal a rebirth of democracy, or has the damage already been done? To understand the stakes, you must go back to the storm that swept Fubara out of office, the shadows of Ibas controversies reign, and the fractured hope of a state yearning for peace. When President Tinubu declared emergency rule in River State on March 18th of 2025, the decision sent shockwaves across Nigeria. It was not the first time in history that a governor would vacate his seat under such conditions. Joshua Darie, Ayodele Fayose, and even parts of the Northeast. But for River State, the heart of the Niger Delta, this was unprecedented in its political intensity. Into this void stepped Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas, a retired military officer, handpicked to steady the turbulent ship of Rivers politics. But instead of calm, his tenure became a storm of its own. Almost immediately, Ibas began exercising powers many claimed he did not have. He dismissed and reconstituted boards, appointed loyal lists into key agencies, and reduced the budget to staggering levels, from CCTV installation pegged at 24 billion naira to gunboats worth 30 billion naira to a 23 billion naira contingency fund. Ibas spent freely, while Port Harcourt, once called the Garden City, slid deeper into decay. Garbage piled high, public utilities crumbled. An ordinary citizen began to ask, was this governance or misrule by another name? Critics say that he acts like a governor without a mandate. Human rights groups, clerics, and even former Wike loyalists condemned his style. Apostle Eugene Ogu lamented that there was no government in Rivers State. Project stalled. Governance halted. Dr. Jackson declared that Ibas had stood constitutionality on its head. Instead of restoring peace, Ibas became the face of alienation. His handling of the August 30th, 2025 local government elections shattered what remained of public trust. The results were announced before ballots were even cast. Many Rivers citizens claim the APC swept 20 chairmanship positions, leaving the PDP with only 3. Polling stations were deserted, not by intimidation, but by silent protests. People stayed home, knowing the outcome had already been written. Dr. Dixon Omenazo called it one of the darkest chapters in Rivers' democratic history. From the pulpit, clerics thundered against the shroud. Where has a military man ever conducted a free election in a democracy? Apostle Eugene Ogu asked. To him, Rivers had been robbed of its voice. Even Opunabo, once a close aide to Wike, reminded the people that Ibas had not initiated a single project. The billions of naira flowing into Rivers through federal allocations and entirely generated revenue seemed to vanish into thin air. The local government polls left scars not just on the credibility of Rivers' democracy, but on the very soul of the people, who now look at politics with bitter suspicion. The court cases may linger, but the verdict of the people was already clear. The election was a sham. Now, with September 18 approaching, all eyes turn to Governor Siminalayi Fubara. His return has been framed a reset, but is that truly a reset? Many of his former loyalists no longer believe in him. They have defected to African Democratic Congress, the ADC, now under the influence of Rotimi Amechi, Wike's arch-rival. For them, Fubara has been weakened beyond repair. Abuja has stripped him of real powers. His commissioners' list may be handed down from above. His local government structures now answers to Wike. So what remains of his governorship? Some activist speaks in despair. We have been thrown under the bus, one said anonymously. Fubara's silence has become its own form of betrayal. He gives no direction, no assurance, no roadmap for the common man in Rivers. The governor seems more absent than ever, and yet there is still a flicker of hope. The hope that his return will ignite a stalled project, rebuild institutions, and restore the dignity of governance. But hope alone may not be enough, as politically volatile as Rivers State. If Fubara is to reclaim Rivers State, he must do more than resume office. He must lead. Civil group like the CLO has set clear demands. First, probe Ibas. How were Rivers' billions spent under 6 months of emergency rule? Who benefited and at what cost to the people? Transparency must be the first test of Fubara's seriousness. Second, restart abandoned projects. The infrastructure Fubara once championed must return to life. Schools, hospitals, roads, they must be revived, not left as monuments to neglect. Third, cancel the August local government elections. Any democracy built on fraud is a democracy bound for collapse. To heal Rivers, justice must be done. But beyond politics, Rivers need peace. Genuine peace. Peace without justice, Dr. Dixon Omenazo wants, is disguised violence. The calm that exists today is fragile, held together by silence and fear. For peace to endure, fairness and accountability must take root. For Fubara, this is more than a political agenda. It is a test of his legacy. As the day of return draws near, Rivers State stands on a knife's edge. Will Fubara rise as a leader or fade into irrelevance as Abuja and Wike tighten their grip? Will Rivers become a story of resilience or remain a cautionary tale of a democracy suspended? The people of Rivers State do not want rhetoric. They want justice. They want security. They want development. They want to see their state rise again, not as a pawn in national politics, but as a true beacon of governance in Nigeria. September 18 is more than a date. It is a judgment day, not just for Fubara, but for Wike, for Tinubu, for Abuja, and for Rivers State itself. Will history remember Siminalayi Fubara as the governor who reclaimed his people's mandate, or as a man who returned only to find his powers gone and his states lost? The answer begins now. Rivers is at a crossroads. Its people are weary of being pawns in power struggles between Abuja, Tinubu, Wike, and Amechi. They demand leadership that listens, governance that delivers, and peace that heals. September 18 offers a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance. A chance for Fubara to step beyond silence, to prove he is not just a caretaker governor, but a leader of vision. The stakes are high, the people are watching, and history will not forget. So we ask, when the clock strikes on September 18th, will Rivers rise again, or will it sink deep into the abyss of political manipulation from Nyesom Wike, the presidency, and Abuja as a whole? The world awaits, and Rivers hold its breath, as well as other Nigerians.